إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الكلام كلام الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار وبعد. Indeed, Ikhwan, the sitting that we have, or the brief sitting, for indeed to discuss the likes of this alam and this jabal from the jibal of ilm would require much more than an hour or 45 minutes or what have you. And so that which we're going to look at is just a nubdha and a small snippet of that which this great alim from the ulama of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah has left for us, Ikhwan, and that which has been penned down concerning his life. The alim that we are discussing in this session is that great scholar, mujaddid, allama, faqih, Shaykh Nasir or Shaykh Muqbil bin Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albaanee, rahimahullah ta'ala. And Shaykh Al-Albani has become among the Tullab al-Ilm popular as Shaykh Nasir. In actuality, Shaykh Al-Albani, his name was Muhammad. But Shaykh Nasir has become popular with the students of ilm and with the people of knowledge as Shaykh Nasir. You hear many mention him as Shaykh Nasir mentions, or Shaykh Nasir authenticates it, ila akhiri. Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, Ikhwan, indeed the eras that pass and the generations that Allah Azza wa Jal has blessed this ummah with. In every generation there is an outstanding, and oftentimes an outstanding alim. Just as Allah Azza wa Jal had left and informed his messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam that at the head of every 100 years there will come one that will mujaddid, and that will renew the affair of the deen for the Muslimin. And that then, Ikhwan, is something that has been ascribed to this alim, that more than one of Ahl al-Ilm have referred to Shaykh Nasir as the mujaddid of this era. That Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albaanee rahimahullah ta'ala, that alim that Allah Azza wa Jal blessed with the knowledge of the sunnah of the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and made outstanding in the sciences and the ulum of the sharia, though he is oftentimes mentioned as the muhaddith of this era, he was no doubt, Ikhwan, outstanding in all of the sciences of the sharia. But as far as the knowledge of the sunnah of the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was concerned, then he was most well known for that. Shaykh Nasir rahimahullah ta'ala, he was born, Ikhwan, in the year 1332 after Hijrah, which equates to 19, or somewhere in the region of 1914. An alim, ayyuha al-ikhwa, that was born in Albania. An alim that was born in a region, we have some of the brothers in this masjid from that region, Akhuna Ahmad wa Ghairi, from the region of Albania. Now they may giggle when I say that Shaykh Nasir was born in the Medina, or in a city known Al-Ashkudara. Ushkudara. Shkodara. In the city of Shkodara. Jazakallah khair. And no doubt, ikhwan, he was born into a family that was faqira. His usra, his family was a poor family. Shaykh Nasir was not born into opulence and not born into wealth. As many of the people of Sunnah, ikhwan, in our era, in our time, in our region, and in many of the countries that some of us may have come from, that he was born, ikhwan, into poverty. As was the case likewise with many of the prophets and the messengers. They were not wealthy and well-to-do. Shaykh Nasir, likewise, ikhwan, he was born into a family that was poor. His father, though, was a well-known alim from the ulama of the Hanafiya. And on the basis of the raghbah and the desire of his father and the hirs and the ardentness that his father had over his son, he taught his son that which he had with him from sciences of the Sharia. No doubt, those sciences, if we return them back to the science of fiqh, for example, it would have been the fiqh of the Hanafi madhab. Naam. But Shaykh Nasir, though, ikhwan, he was nurtured as a child on that way and upon that madhab, Allah Azza wa Jal returned him to the sunnah, or turned him to the sunnah, يعني ردا جميلا. Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albani, he memorized the Quran, أيها الإخوة, برواية حفص and Asim, from his father, or at the hands of his father, rahimahullah ta'ala, and he completed the Quran at a young age. And he was well known for his for his tajweed, for his knowledge of the sciences of tajweed and qira'ah. And even to this day, ikhwan, we have some recordings. There are some tapes and recordings. Some may have put them on YouTube and may have put them online, of the qira'ah of Shaykh Al-Albani. And one is able to listen then to the qira'ah of the Shaykh. So he memorized the Quran from a young age, بِرِوَايَةْ حَفْص and Asim, and his father went on to teach him the sciences of the Lugha al-Arabiya. And even though when he moved and they moved to Syria, and he was in and among Arab, he used to correct the Arab that he was in the same class as. Correct them in terms of that which is related to Nahu, and that which is related to Sarf, and that which is related to the various sciences of the Lugha al-Arabiya. And so he became well known as the Albanian that was well acquainted with the Arabic language and that was proficient in the sciences of the Lugha. As far as his father making the hijrah and migration from Al-Albani from Albania with his family, then he made the migration, ayyuhal ikhwa, on the basis of one of the communist leaders that were present in Albania at the time, that was oppressive to the inhabitants of Albania. And on the basis of that, his father, yani Shaykh Nasir's father, saw that they should flee with their deen. And so Shaykh Al-Albani, his father, chose Sham as a place to make hijrah to. He chose Sham as a place to make hijrah to for two main reasons. From them, the first of those reasons were those ahadith that were present and that we have authentic and established that speak of the fadl of Sham and speak of the virtue of Sham. And Sham, ikhwan, being a reference to the region of Syria, Palestine, Jordan, that region, all of it referred to and known as Sham. So the ahadith, first and foremost, that make mention of the fadl and the virtue of Sham, like the statement of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِذَا فَسَدَ أَهْلُ الشَّامِ فَلَا خَيْرَ فِيكُمْ, that if the people of Sham become corrupt, then there is no good in you. And those ahadith that speak of that which is going to occur towards the end of time, from the khair and from the good that is present and will be present in Sham. For example, some of the riwayat of the ahadith of the Ta'ifatul Mansura, that some of those riwayat mention Sham as a place that they will reside in or that they will be in. And other than that, as we mentioned, Ikhwan, from the ahadith that make mention of the fadl and the virtue of Sham, and so on the basis of that, Shaykh Nasir, his father, he chose Sham as a place to make hijrah to. A second, or the other reason, is that which is related to the qurb and the close proximity of Sham to Albania. Because of its close proximity, and that it is closer than many of the other Muslim countries, he took and chose Sham as a place to make hijrah to. And they made hijrah to Sham and to Syria while Shaykh Al-Albani was still a young boy. Shaykh Al-Albani then, he studied with the ulama when he arrived in Sham, on top of or alongside studying in the school system in Sham. He studied along or at the feet of the ulama of Sham. He studied with the scholars of Sham and the people of knowledge who were present in that region. From them, the likes of Sa'id Burhani, who was one of the well-known scholars of Sham at that time, and perhaps his most well-known teacher, Bahjat al-Baytar, who was the mufti of Sham at that time. Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albani, he studied with him and became from the distinguished students of the great scholar Bahjat Baytar. Thereafter, Shaykh Nasir was taken, and it was well known that from even a young age, there were signs and clear signs of intelligence, astuteness, sharpness, good memory, and his enthusiasm for ilm was recognized by those who were present in the region at the time. From that which highlights, Ikhwan, his ardentness for ilm, though he was a young child, a youth, was that he wrote by hand. From the things that he carried out as a young boy, he wrote by hand the book of Al-Imam Al-Iraqi, Hussein bin Abdurrahim, the book which was a takhrij of the book Ihya Ulumuddin. Ihya Ulumuddin, the well-known book of Al-Imam Al-Ghazali, Imam Al-Iraqi, because of that which was present in it, from ahadith that were da'ifa, ahadith that were weak, ahadith that required studying and required research, Al-Imam Al-Iraqi, he wrote a book around each hadith that was present within the book of Imam Al-Ghazali, Ihya Ulumuddin. And the book is a large book. Al-Imam Al-Albani, when he began to show an inclination towards the sciences of hadith, from the things that he carried out in his young age was that he wrote the whole book himself by hand. And naturally, Ikhwan, because of that which they had from qillat yad and from poverty, and that they were not people who were well-to-do, many would write books by hand at that time. And printing presses and books in print were relatively new phenomenon during that period. In any case, as a young boy, he wrote by hand the takhrij of Ihya Ulumuddin of Al-Imam Al-Albani, and he added to it. So he took it, he made some notes upon it, he added some affairs related to the language, to the meaning of some words. He added additional notes from external research that he did around the book that he wrote out. And that would be like, Ikhwan, one of us saying to one of our youth that we want you to take, for example, Sahih al-Bukhari in English, and just, if you can, write it out by hand for me, and add whatever notes you can to it. That one of our youth were to carry out a task like that, then, Ikhwan, he would be the Imam of the Dunya in Britannia, the Imam of the Dunya in England, because, mashallah, he wrote out Bukhari by hand. And that then, Ikhwan, was the first of the works, and what the first of the things that Shaykh Nasir carried out and was known for as a young boy. Thereafter, Ikhwan, it was well known that Shaykh Al-Albani, he took and was very well acquainted with Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah in Sham is one of the largest, most renowned libraries in the Islamic and in the Muslim world. Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah, a maktaba and a library, ikhwan, that has tens of thousands. We're not saying, ikhwan, hundreds, but tens of thousands of works, Muslim authorships, tens of thousands of books, some of them in printed form and some of them in manuscript form. And in fact, there are many manuscripts that are present that to this day, other than the manuscript form that they're in Maktab Al-Zahiriyah, they are not present in the hands of the Muslims. And so Maktab Al-Zahiriyah is an extremely important maktaba, an extremely important library, ikhwan, for the people of knowledge, for the students of knowledge, and for the Muslims in general. Shaykh Nasir, again, as a youth, took to taking or spending long periods of time within Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. He would sit and he would read, ikhwan, from the morning to the evening, and then he would return in the morning after Fajr, and he would sit and read in Maktab Al-Zahiriyah and research from morning to evening. And then he would return, after going and sleeping, he would return, sit from morning and research again till evening within the library. And he became very well known within the library to the extent that those who used to work, the librarians of the library, allocated for him a room. That was Shaykh Al-Albani's room, or the Albanians' room at that time. He would take his books into the room and he would study in the room. So they allocated for him his own room because of the muadhaba that he had within the maktaba. Because he was constantly present within it, they allocated for him a room, and further to allocating to him a room, they went on to give him a key. Because he was there when the people would open, when the librarians would open, up until the time that some of them would leave. And when some of them wished to leave, because of the books that he had in front of him, because of the research that he was involved in, and because he would request for them to delay slightly, the closing time and what have you, they decided to cut a key for Shaykh Nasir. And so they gave him a key to Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. That is like one of us receiving a key to Central Library in town. You can come and go as you please. So well known within the library and among the librarians that they've allocated for you a room in the library, your room. And you have a key, come and go as you please. And that was Shaykh Nasir as a youth, still young, spending time, ikhwan, within Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. From the benefits of him spending time, ikhwan, in Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah was that Shaykh Al-Albani, he became well known for ilm and for knowledge. And so he would have individuals who would benefit from him, who would sit with him and would join in his research with him. On an occasion, he had an individual take a book, and it was one of the books of Al-Imam Ibn Abi Dunya, the book that was known as, was entitled Dham al-Malahi, that he placed upon this individual, writing out the book of Ibn Abi Dunya by hand, Dham al-Malahi, from the manuscript form that it was in at that time in Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. And so this individual he took, on the basis of the request of Shaykh Al-Albani, he took the book and he wrote it out. It wasn't an extremely large book. He took it and he wrote it out by hand. And so he copied the whole book, other than one page of the book that was missing and was clearly present in Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. Whatever it was that caused him to realize that it was still in the maktaba, whether it was that there were pieces of paper that indicated that it had been removed, or that it was ripped out or displaced. It was clear, though, that a page was ripped out, had been ripped out, and was not present within that manuscript. And so Shaykh Al-Albani, after that individual had written the book out, the Shaykh decided that he was going to find the missing page. Now that missing page, anyone who knows many in Islamic library anyway, it could be in the middle of any book, which occurs. And somebody finds a page, he opens a book, just puts it in the middle, closes it, put it back. And so Shaykh Nasir, being acquainted with the library, and being acquainted with the fact that this was what people did, he decided that he was going to go through every book in Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. And so he went and began with the first book in Maktab Al-Zahiriyah and sifted through every single book within the Maktaba. And still didn't find a page. And so he decided, Ikhwan, that he was going to do it again. And so he sifted through every book in Maktab Al-Zahiriyah a second time. And still didn't find a page. And so he decided he was going to do it for a third time. And he sifted through every single book in Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah a third time. During that search, the Shaykh came across much benefit. Naturally, he didn't sit and read every book, but he came across many benefits. And so he began to author a book of notes from him searching for that one page in Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah, a book of notes of benefits that he came across while he was searching. And so Shaykh Nasir, he mentions about himself that I ended up with 40 volumes of benefits, notes, a hadith here, a benefit there, an issue here, a benefit there. He ended up with 40 volumes. Each volume he mentioning having 400 pages. 40 volumes. All of them just notes that he had going through Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. So it may be, Ikhwan, that something may occur. And that one thing, though it may be, or be considered a calamity at that time, it causes, or off the back of it, there is much khair that is attained and achieved by way of it. From that writing and from those notes, we now have a book that has been authored, Ikhwan, and for any of the brothers who are going to book by, we have here the Fahras of the Makhtutat of the Kutub Al-Zahiriyah of Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albaanee. That was, and this is the summary of that which was present within the search or within those 40 volumes of Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albaanee. But he mentions in this the Makhtutat, or in it the written manuscripts, the handwritten manuscripts that had not gone into print that were present in Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. So this is a fahras or an index of the makhtutat, of the handwritten manuscripts that had not gone into print that are present within Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah. And that, no doubt, Ikhwan, an extremely important book. Something that wasn't done even by the librarians. Something that wasn't done until Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albaanee had carried out that which he carried out on that occasion. And so, Ikhwan, Shaykh Nasir then, in terms of his research, in terms of his ardentness for ilm, then Shaykh Nasir, he was well known within the circles of the people of knowledge at his time for ardentness over ilm and utilizing his time well. Shaykh Al-Albani, because of the fact that the Maktab Al-Zahiriyah was a distance from his home, he decided, in order to travel from his home to the Maktabah, even though it was something that would not necessarily be looked upon favorably by some, he decided, because he was poor, to get a bike. And so the Shaykh purchased the bike, and he would ride from his home to Maktab Al-Zahiriyah, and then he would ride from Maktab Al-Zahiriyah back to his home. And some of the people began to ridicule him on the basis of that. And there was a Christian, one of the Arab Christians in Syria at the time, who was an author, who wrote a book called or entitled Al-Mudhikat Al-Mubkiyat. the things that make you laugh and cry at the same time. And he mentioned Shaykh Nasir within the book. That there was a Shaykh from among the shuyukh of the Muslims, a scholar from among the scholars of the Muslims, who we see riding on his way to Al-Maktab Al-Zahiriyah, ridiculing the Shaykh. But the Shaykh said, that concerns me not. That which concerns me is benefiting from my time. And that which would indicate, ikhwan, the hirs and the ardentness that Shaykh Al-Albani had over his time was in his maktabah. There was a door, ikhwan, that opens to the maktabah. And that it opened in a particular way. Yeah, let's say, for example, it opened from left to right. But because of how it opened, it caused the Shaykh to take some 10 steps to get to his books and to get where he needed to go within the room. And it caused something of an obstruction for him because of how the door opened. And so he had the door changed from, if it was left opening, and from left to right, he had a carpenter come and change the door so it opened from right to left. And so some of the students, the carpenter himself, out of shyness, didn't want to ask the Shaykh, why turn it from that way to that direction? And so some of his students asked the Shaykh. He said, because of the fact that when it opens in that direction, it takes me some 10 steps to get where I need to go. While if it opens in this direction, I'm there in 2. And so he had his door changed in order, ikhwan, to save time when it came to the affair of research and when it came, ikhwan, to the affair of benefiting from his time, from his waqt. And there is much, ikhwan, by way of stories that may be mentioned concerning his conservation of time and his preservation of time. But due to time, we're not able to mention them now. As far as the mu'allifat, ikhwan, and the authorships of the Shaykh, then his writings and his works has caused him, and that which he has by way of audio material, have caused the scholars to praise him with praise that we see the mountains of knowledge among the Salaf receiving from the scholars at their time. Those statements of praise that the great scholars used to say for certain contemporaries. We have the great ummah of ilm in this era making similar statements for Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albani. From those statements, ikhwan, will mention the praise of the great ummah of our time. From them we have the statement of Shaykh Muhammad bin Ibrahim al-Shaykh. And Shaykh Muhammad bin Ibrahim, he was, ayyuha al-ikhwa, the teacher and the Shaykh of Shaykh Abdul-Azeez bin Baaz. Shaykh Muhammad bin Ibrahim, he referred to Shaykh Nasir as Sahib Sunnah. Sahib Sunnah wa nusratun lil haqq. Sahibun lis Sunnah wa nusratun lil haqq wa musadama lil batil. That he mentioned that he was a companion and a person of the Sunnah, and one who aided the haqq, and one who was known for repelling batil, repelling falsehood. So likewise, we have the statement of Shaykh Muhammad Amin al-Shinqiti, rahimahullah ta'ala. Shaykh Muhammad Amin, not the Muhammad Mukhtar that is alive now. Shaykh Muhammad Amin, the Imam, he mentioned concerning him, yani the author of Adwa al-Bayan, he mentioned he mentioned many statements concerning him, but it was well known that he used to hold Shaykh Al-Albani in great esteem and awe and reverence, to the extent that if he was teaching, when Shaykh Al-Albani was in the Jami'an, in the Islamic University as a teacher, and Shaykh Muhammad Amin had his dars in the Haram, and it was well known that his dars was well attended. Shaykh Muhammad Amin, ikhwan, Shinqiti, was known to be a computer. He was known to be ajib as it relates to hifz of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that he would read Ikhwan in his dars, when he would recite and he would explain the ayat, it would be as though one were reading a book of tafsir. That when he would recite, even the manner in which he spoke in the dars, that his speech sounded like prose or like poetry when he spoke. Because the Shanaqita are well known, Ikhwan, for memory and memorization. I remember the first house that I used to live in was one that was in the area of the Shanaqita. The Shanaqita, Ikhwan, the people of the region of Mauritania. Naam. So the people from that region, Ikhwan, the Shanaqita, are well known for having amazing memory. Shaykh Muhammad Amin being from them. And they would, instead of, Ikhwan, they wouldn't just study a book, but they would memorize the book. I remember speaking to one of them, and he mentioned that this was aib. This was a aib and a blemish and an ugly character with the people of Mauritania, that they would study a book and not memorize it. And so you have many of them memorizing, Ikhwan, the general folk, memorizing some of the text that many a student of knowledge has not memorized. Taxi drivers memorizing text that many a student and many a talib has not memorized. Unfortunately, many of them are asha'ira. And so they became well known, Ikhwan, for their knowledge of the language because of the bid'ah that many of them are upon, or that many are upon. The likes of Ahmad Du, this individual that Shaykh Hamad al-Ansari, he informed us of the fact that he went to debate him. Ahmad Du, one who is said had memorized Lisan al-Arab, letter for letter, the largest dictionary, Ikhwan, in the Maktaba al-Islamiyya. In any case, Ikhwan, Shaykh Muhammad Amin al-Shinqiti, he mentioned, or it was mentioned concerning him, that when Shaykh Al-Albani would walk past his dars, that he would stop and he would stand and he would give salam to Shaykh Al-Albani, just on the basis of him passing the dars. And he would stop the dars and he would stand and go over to the Shaykh and he would give him salam, just on the basis, Ikhwan, and in order to teach the tullab that which is related to the adab of the people of knowledge with the people of knowledge. Likewise, we have the statement of Shaykh Abdul-Azeez bin Baaz. Shaykh bin Baaz mentioned concerning Shaykh Al-Albani, ما رأيت تحت أديم السماء أعلم بالحديث من الألباني. He said that I have not seen under the sky an individual more knowledgeable with hadith than Shaykh Al-Albani. On another occasion, he was asked concerning Shaykh Al-Albani, and this is Shaykh Abdul-Azeez, Samahat al-Shaykh al-Walid, al-Imam. He was asked about Shaykh Al-Albani, and he responded by saying, هو مجدد هذا العصر في ظني. He responded by saying, in my opinion, يعني as far as I'm concerned, he is the mujaddid of this era. He is the mujaddid of this era. Referring to the hadith that we mentioned, Ikhwan, where in the Messenger of Allah, he mentioned that at the head of every 100 years, that Allah Azza wa Jal will send an individual to renew for this ummah the affairs of its deen. Shaykh bin Baaz, he said, as far as I am concerned, the one that was sent in this, or the one that has that title, rather, in this time, is Shaykh Al-Albani. Shaykh bin Uthaymeen, he mentioned concerning Shaykh Al-Albani, هو ذو علم جمع بالحديث رواية ودراية. He said that he has extensive knowledge of hadith, riwayatan, that which is related to its narration, the manner in which it is narrated, wadiraya, and understanding that which is present within the text of the ahadith and that which is to be understood from those ahadith. And that then is Shaykh Nasir gathering between knowledge of narration and knowledge of the meaning of those ahadith. Similarly, he mentioned, and he is well known for hirs على العمل بالسنة ومحاربة البدعة. He said that he is well known for acting upon the sunnah and for fighting against bid'ah and waging war against bid'ah. He said, وَالرَّجُلْ طَوِيلُ الْبَاعِ. He said that he is a well-known, extensive researcher. Similarly, we have the statement, Ikhwan, of Shaykh Hamoud al-Tuwajiri, and the Tulab Ilm, and those of you, Ikhwan, who are acquainted with the affair of Shaykh Nasir, Shaykh Hamoud, that during their lifetime, Ikhwan, there was some ongoing back and forward between Shaykh Nasir and Shaykh Hamoud over a number of issues. For example, the issue of the niqab, whether or not the niqab is wajib or mustahab, and other than that from the issues. But both of them, it was well known that they would refute each other. And that was something that was commonplace among the people of knowledge in the past. That they would respect and have ijlal of each other, they likewise would write books in refutation of each other on occasions. Shaykh Hamoud likewise wrote a refutation against Shaykh bin Uthaymeen in a mas'ala, in an issue. Now, this is an important point, Ikhwan, for us to highlight. And that is that because of the fact that we hear oftentimes, subhanallah, these Salafis, they're always fighting against each other, always warring against each other. And, which group of Salafis are you in, and other than that. The affair, Ikhwan, of people of Sunnah responding to each other or correcting each other is not something that was strange and ghareeb. Al-Imam Muslim, he wrote a response to his Shaykh, Al-Imam Al-Bukhari, in the affair of the ishtirat of Al-Luqya. The condition that Imam al-Bukhari laid down, that he had to establish that one narrator definitely met the other. And so he would go into lengths to establish that this narrator, when he says upon the authority of such and such, then I am going to search and find a hadith where he says, Haddathani. It was narrated to me by such and such. Because the statement upon the authority of such and such could have been a direct narration, and it could have been a narration by way of someone else upon the authority of. And so Al-Imam al-Bukhari in his Sahih, he laid down the condition that he was not going to take a narration unless it had this established luqya, that we know that this person met him and narrated from him. And for that reason, in Sahih al-Bukhari, sometimes you'll come across a narration in a chapter or under a chapter, and it may have absolutely no connection. And you may scratch your head, wondering why did Imam al-Bukhari put that hadith under the chapter when it doesn't apparently have any connection. And oftentimes the only reason that he did that was to establish that in this chain of narration, the chain of narration of this hadith, we have a tahdith, or we have it explicitly mentioned that that narrator heard from the narrator that he made the an'ana to in the hadith that's in the chapter. So in the chapter he says upon the authority of, in this hadith he says, it was narrated to me by. So we know he definitely met him. That condition, or the affair of this condition, was something that was responded to by Al-Imam Muslim. He responded and he did a refutation of Al-Imam Al-Bukhari with adab. He did a refutation of Imam Al-Bukhari and established that the statement or the position of Amat Muhaddithun, of the people of Hadith in general, is that what is sufficient is knowledge of mu'asara. What is sufficient is that we know that they were contemporaries, that they lived at the same time, and that this individual was not known to be a mudallis, that he would narrate saying, upon the authority of someone, when in actuality there was somebody else present within the chain. And so as long as he's not the person who does that, as long as he's trustworthy, and as long as those two individuals lived at the same time, then Ahlul Hadith generally would accept the Hadith on that basis. And so Imam Muslim, then a response to Imam Al-Bukhari. Here we have Shaykh Hamoud al-Tuwajiri responding to Shaykh bin Uthaymeen. Shaykh bin Baaz, what did he do, Ikhwan, as it relates to the affair of his response? Did he say, Akhi, Shaykh bin Uthaymeen min Ikhwanina, he's our brother, he's close to us, where you're going to respond to him and make it look, everybody's going to say, and the people of Bid'ah are going to use it, and so on. La. Shaykh bin Baaz wrote an introduction to the book. The second tab'a, just to show you the ikhlas of the ulama, the second print that came out of the book, Shaykh bin Uthaymeen wrote an introduction to the book and returned to the haqq that was established by the writing of Shaykh Hamoud, highlighting the ikhlas of Ahlul Ilm, and that when they responded based on ilm. And when they heard that response, and when they heard a refutation against an issue that they may have said, the first thing that they asked themselves was, is it right? Did I make a mistake in the issue? Let me see what is being said. Let me analyze the adillah. Not just, well, subhanallah, who is this man to stand against me? Who is this individual to speak about me? Or who is this individual to speak about the Shaykh? Who is this individual to speak about our Shaykh, our Allama? Who is this person? And so we immediately become defensive. La. The first thing that should be asked, is it Sahib Sunnah? First and foremost, is he one that is competent? And is the issue a valid issue? Is there any haqq in the issue? Because there is no one, ikhwan, that is ma'soom other than the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so on that basis, ikhwan, Ahlul Ilm, they would respond to each other, and that was what was well known about Shaykh Hamoud and Shaykh Al-Albani. There was an ongoing back and forth between them. And I remember, ikhwan, on an occasion having dinner in the house of Shaykh Hamoud with the sons of Shaykh Hamoud after his death, rahimahullah. And Shaykh Nasir, somebody, one of the students of knowledge that I was invited to the house with, he began to ask some questions connected to an issue related to Shaykh Nasir, and the atmosphere in the house changed dramatically. Though, ikhwan, it wasn't, they didn't disrespect or dishonor the Shaykh in any way, but it was something that, we won't go into the details of what occurred. There was a discussion and a heated debate that took place between the student who was defending the position of Shaykh Al-Albani and between the sons of Shaykh Hamoud al-Tuwajiri, which, ikhwan, again, returned back to this affair of haqq and batil, right and wrong, truth and falsehood, and being sincere in holding a position that may oppose the position of someone that we have reverence and awe and respect for. In any case, ayyuhal ikhwa, though Shaykh Hamoud and Shaykh Al-Albani had this ongoing issue between them, Shaykh Hamoud mentioned concerning Shaykh Al-Albani, he said, Al-Shaykh alam ala sunnah, man ta'ana fihi, أو الطعن فيه طعن في السنة. He said that Shaykh Al-Albani is a alam. He is if you like something better, huh? If you like a guidepost or a sign or a banner for the sunnah. Whoever makes ta'an of him makes ta'an of the sunnah. And that statement, ikhwan, is one that some may struggle to fathom. But it is just, ikhwan, like the statement of our scholars when they speak about those who make ta'an of the Sahaba. That ta'an, in actuality, the intent behind it is not merely ta'an of the Sahaba and speaking ill of the Sahaba, but it is to make ta'an of that which they were known. And it was well known from them that they were representing and that they were spreading the knowledge of, and that they were teaching the knowledge of, and propagating the knowledge of among the people, and conveying the knowledge of to the people, and that is the knowledge of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so that ta'an concerning those illustrious Sahaba is ta'an of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is usually what is intended by way of that dispraise and that statement. And so, ikhwan, here we have, though they had this ongoing thing, Shaykh Hamoud praised him, ikhwan, in this manner and spoke well of him. Shaykh Nasir was well known, ikhwan, for giving and spending time with the students of knowledge. When he taught in the Islamic University from the year 1381, it was well known, ikhwan, that the students used to love him, and that they would scramble to get a seat in the Shaykh's car on the way out. That the Shaykh, it was well known that he would fill his car and leave. Other than that which we see in our time, ikhwan, that now the administrators, ying, past the students and everybody is walking, everybody walks home. Now, or at that time, Shaykh Nasir, it was well known, he would stop and he would fill his car, overfill his car in fact, with students, and he would drive them and drop them wherever he was able to. And it was likewise known from Shaykh Al-Albani that in every break he would sit and the students would sit around him rather than going for tea and coffee. In every break he would sit, the students would sit around him, and teachers would say that is the true ilm. Yani those sittings of Shaykh Nasir in the fusha and in the breaks between lessons, they would say that is the true ilm. And the ilm of that mujaddid, this alama, this faqih. Shaykh Nasir, ikhwan, from his turath and from that which he left by way of heritage, he left over 120 authorships. And there are more than 90 that are still in manuscript form, that haven't been printed till this day. The Shaykh, likewise, in terms of audio, has some 6,000 or more cassettes, which were cassettes at that time. They are now, I'm sure, being brought into digital form. But at that time, ikhwan, we would have cassettes, and we would collect the cassettes of Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albani. From the most popular at my time was the Silsilatul Huda wa Nur, and that, ikhwan, was something that the students would struggle to gather enough money to buy, which was some 800 odd tapes. That the students would struggle to gather enough money to buy Silsilatul Huda wa Nur. Listen to Shaykh Nasir every day and benefit from the Shaykh, ikhwan. Even if one is not able to read, then at least you can listen to the Shaykh in the background in one's car and what have you, and continue to benefit. And from the writings of the Shaykh that indicate his hirs and his ardentness over the Aqidah Salafiyah are the works that he has either serviced or the authorships that he has. From those works, we have him writing or servicing the Kitab al-Iman of Ibn Abi Shaybah, likewise Kitab al-Iman of Abi Ubaid al-Qasim bin Sallam, which it is said is the first book to ever have been written in Aqidah. And that is a statement of a number of Ahl al-Ilm. And that was the book that was serviced by Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albani, that he took it from manuscript form and put it into printed form. Similarly, that he did a takhrij of the ahadith of as-sunnah of Al-Imam Ibn Abi Asim. Likewise, the takhrij and the ta'liq upon Kitab al-Iman, yani his commentary notes, and him making or referencing all of the ahadith within Kitab al-Iman of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Likewise, his work upon the book Al-Ulu of Al-Imam al-Dhahabi, يعني Al-Ulu لعلي الغفار. That book, Ikhwan, Shaykh Nasir serviced the book, serviced the ahadith, referenced them, يعني made commentaries and notes around the writing of the Shaykh, of the Imam al-Dhahabi. Similarly, from the contemporary scholars, he serviced the works of the likes of Shaykh Abdul-Rahman bin Yahya al-Muallimi, the great Imam, Ikhwan, who was referred to as the Dhahabi of this era, who lived in our era and was from the great Yemeni ulama. Though, Ikhwan, he is mentioned and his status is not well known among the students, particularly the students in the West. But that great Shaykh and Imam al-Muallimi is referred to, Ikhwan, by the scholars and by the people of Hadith as the Imam al-Dhahabi of this era. Shaykh Nasir serviced his works from them, Al-Qa'id fi Tasheeh al-Aqa'id, a book that he wrote around the affairs, some of the affairs of Aqidah. Al-Qa'id, likewise a Tankeel of Al-Imam Muallimi, two works in Aqidah, and that revolve around refuting some of the issues that have been attributed to Aqidah. Not to mention his own writings in the affairs of Aqidah, the likes of his work, Ikhwan, around Tawassul, one of the most beneficial books around the topic. The word, or the book, Ikhwan, that discusses a term that many of the people of Sufiya have fallen into and erred in regards to. Shaykh Nasir wrote his own authorship around that. Authorships around other issues. Khabr al-Ahad, the affair of Ziyarat al-Qubur, visiting the graves, and a number of refutations, Ikhwan, of issues that are prevalent in our time. Similarly, the Shaykh, Ikhwan, there is much that has been said concerning him and his humility and his humbleness and his hatred hatred of the people praising him and mentioning him, Ikhwan, in or raising him. And there is that story, Ikhwan, and that occurrence, and I believe it may now be online and possibly on YouTube, of the woman who phoned Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albani and informed him of a dream that she had, that she saw the messenger. And that she saw that there was a man that was running behind the messenger of Allah. And that man that was running behind the messenger of Allah, she was informed that it was Shaykh Al-Albani. And Shaykh Al-Albani, when he was listening to the dream, the Shaykh began to well up and he began to cry. And then he recited the statement of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, where Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he mentioned when individuals praised him in his presence, Allahumma la tu'akhidhni bima yaqulun. He said, "Oh Allah, do not take me to account for what they say. وَجَعَلْنِي خَيْرًا مِمَّا يَظُنُّونَ, and make me better than that which they suppose about me. وَاغْفِرْ لِي مَا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, and forgive me for that which they do not know." And so Shaykh Nasir, Ikhwan, it was well known that he disliked to be raised and praised. Similarly, Ikhwan, on an occasion, one of the people of Hadeeth from Bangladesh visited Shaykh Nasir and came to his home and invited him to Bangladesh and said to him, "Ya Shaykh, we have some 4 million people of Hadith in Bangladesh. Yani Ahl al-Hadith. Oh, Hadith in Bangladesh. Some 4 million. Ya Shaykh, if only you would come, they are in much need of your presence. And they love you, Ya Shaykh, and they wish for you to attend." So the Shaykh refused. And the individual repeated again, refused, and continued to try with the Shaykh until the extent that the Shaykh blatantly refused. And the Shaykh, when he becomes upset, it is known in his voice, and he is one that doesn't beat about the bush in telling an individual frankly and informing him of where he stands. And so the individual left the gathering of the Shaykh, and some of those who were present, they said, "Why not, Shaykh?" He said, 4 million, ya Shaykh. 4 million. And so the Shaykh, he responded by saying, 4 million? 4 million? That I am going to attend 4 million? He said, verily, a gathering like that one, I fear for myself. And that, no doubt, ikhwan, is an indication of the tawadu and of the fact that these ai and these ulama were not ai ayyuhal ikhwa, that had love for the highlight, for the limelight, and that had love for their names to be raised, and that had love for their names to be splattered here, there, and everywhere. And that they are the ones that yusharu ilayhim bil-banan, that are pointed towards, and these are the people. La. Rather, they would flee from it. They disliked it. They had hatred for it. Allah Azza wa Jal raised them, but they didn't want it. Allah Azza wa Jal gave them position and rank and station and raised their mention among the people, but they would prefer to be unknown. And that, ikhwan, was from the benefit that one receives from sitting with Ahlul Ilm. And to this very day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to bless Ahlul Sunnah with ulama, ikhwan, who yudrabu bihi al-mathal. Ulama, ayyuha al-ikhwa, who are shining examples for students of knowledge. The one who spends time with them and attempts to emulate them, then, ikhwan, he sees and benefits from them, from their character, benefits from their manner in dealing with affairs, benefits from their humility, benefits from, ayyuhal ikhwa, their adab, their adab, and their hikmah and their wisdom, that which, wallahi, ikhwan, is not benefited from kutub, not benefited from books. You may read narrations, and you may read stories, and you may read books that are beneficial. But when we're speaking about Ahlul Ilm, wallahi, ikhwan, there is a benefit that comes from sitting with them, watching them, observing them, listening to them, taking their advice and seeing how well and how wisely they advised, even though you at the time may have thought, Shaykh, subhanallah, no, he's missed it, he's missed the mark completely. He probably didn't understand the question. But wallahi, give it time, and you see that the advice of the Shaykh was bang on point. And that the advice of the Shaykh, ikhwan, was extremely accurate and filled with wisdom. Wisdom of and knowledge of situations, ikhwan, that we do not see or observe except after years and years of experience. These are men, ayyuhal ikhwa, who spent, many of them, more than half a century with ilm and with knowledge and with kutub and with other ai and with other imams. And thus, ikhwan, this affair is something that is inherited jeel after jeel, and it is inherited generation after generation. And on that basis, ikhwan, anyone who has the ability to sit with them while they still breathe, while they're still alive, capitalize benefit. If it is a visit, try and visit. One of the things, ikhwan, and we'll round up with this, that grieves my heart to this very day, there is not a alim from the ulama al-mu'asirin, generally, ikhwan, except that Allah Azza wa Jal blessed me to meet and to benefit from them all, other than one or two. Shaykh Al-Albani, Shaykh Uthaymeen, Shaykh bin Baaz, yani alhamdulillah, Allah Azza wa Jal facilitated ease with either meeting them or studying with them for a period. But if there was an alim that I had the most desire to meet and sit with and benefit from in this era, then it is this Shaykh and this Imam, Shaykh Al-Albani. In my first year in Islamic University, ikhwan, instead of returning it may have been my second year. Instead of returning to England, I decided what I was going to do was, prior to returning in the summer, keep my Saudi air ticket, purchase a Jordan air ticket back home, travel to Jordan, because you'll get transit, stop off at Jordan, Go and meet the Imam. As you were sick at that time, meet the Imam and then carry on to England. And then on the way back, if I'm able, meet the Shaykh again and go back home. I remember arriving and we spent I spent a number of days at that time in the house of Salim al-Hilali, Hadahullah. We spent a number of days trying to visit the Shaykh. My affair was that I had no concern other than meeting Shaykh Al-Albani. At that time, it was being said that the Shaykh is very, very critical. Day 1, Shaykh is very critical, he's taking no visitors. Day 2, Shaykh is very critical, taking no visitors. Day 3, Shaykh is very critical, he's taking no visitors. It turns out, Ikhwan, that I was staying with the wrong person. There was actually somebody that could have got me to see the Shaykh. In any case, day 3, the 3-day stay. Day 3, the Shaykh was critical. I was not able to see the Shaykh. I had to continue and travel. Continued and travel, got back to England. And then, Ikhwan, it was a small period. We heard the news that Shaykh Naasir-ud-Deen Al-Albaanee had passed away. And so, Ikhwan, if there was anything that I missed out on that breaks my heart and hurts me to this very day, is meeting the mujaddid of this era. And thus, Ikhwan, I encourage each and every one of you, if you're young and you're able to take some time out and go away and study and sit with Ahlul Ilm, then do so. Apply for the Islamic University. Whatever you can do, Ikhwan, to spend some time with those ulama, those inheritors. They, Ikhwan, are the only ones that carry with them that which was left as inheritance by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We hear it, Ikhwan, but reflect upon it. That which the Messenger has left by way of inheritance is possessed by those individuals, and they are still alive. If you're able to sit with them, go. If not, but you're able to visit, mathalan, 2 weeks, go. If you have the ability. Because, Ikhwan, it is something that you will regret not doing. We will travel to meet certain individuals, Ikhwan, and subhanAllah, individuals in Jahiliyyah, mathalan, they may have traveled to meet such and such an artist, or go to such and such a concert, or meet such and such a sports person. But we have these inheritors of Muhammad ibn Abdullah alive, Ikhwan, and we're not benefiting from them or going to see them and meet them, Ikhwan, and take from them directly. Aib. Wallahi, aib. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ikhwan, to gather us with in their ranks, gather us with the prophets and the messengers and the ulama, the ranks of the righteous, the salihun, and with those ayyuhal ikhwah who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed to take on board this inheritance and this ilm and to carry this trust that Allah Azza wa Jal has left and placed upon them. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah.